Alright, hello everybody, and happy Sunday to everybody. Hope things are going well. I'm beyond tired, and yeah, so we're just going to continue on with some Roottrees. Right, Rootree Mania. It's been a minute for me, so I gotta remember what we were doing. Apologize, y'all don't need to hear me clearing my throat. Alright, let's see. We had most of you put together, some of this put together. This is all still kind of not at all put together. Let's see. The last one we did, was China and this was Brazil. So the final affair here. There was. Oh Lord, sorry. One second. I'm trying to think. There's useful things here. That's interesting. Young Roottrees were found by following a complex rabbit hole through a conspiracy site that led to finding a searchable web for Chris Rafferty. Only be found by... Yeah, that's right. Oops. Hearing Rootree, who claimed to be Rootree but wasn't. Family Man, a book about else turned out to be not really useful. His other book, historical romance novels, were not very useful on their own, though they could lead to other information. Apparently, were not very helpful. Yeah. Okay. I feel like this has been helpful in the past, but not super helpful. Mostly because we were looking for secretaries that he shagged. Let's see. Travel expenses. Oh yeah, there's Roottrees, France we could look at. Oh, not that. Okay, manufactured. It's developed as part of the Roottrees initiative in the summer. Apparently, Roottrees France was a non-starter. Negotiations broke down pretty late in the process that the country had already been formed. It's meant to be Tristan Robert. That was in negotiations to take over Roottrees France. He is still alive and seems that other countries had not been immune to Roottrees mania, as you recognize the word Roottrees in one of the questions. Seems the interview snuck in a question about his experience with the company at the end of the 70s. It's in French and it takes some time to translate section by section, but he mentions Guy by first name only, and the tale is quite ugly. So one of the worst men I've ever met. He approached my wife about having an affair, which she refused. He then insisted that this was the best way to celebrate the end of our business contract. I punched him in the face. Okay, so what? Seems mentioning Pokemon sidetracks the question a bit. Sorry, I'm speed reading. I'm not speed reading because I can't speed read, but I'm reading in my head. We lost a lot of. I'm scanning for Pokemon. Oh, he treated. Okay. What happens if we search Pokemon? Does the game get mad? Pokemon or Pocket Monsters is a video game franchise by Nintendo that premiered in different countries around. Yeah. Pokemania has slipped the goal in the last year or so. It's unclear if the franchise will have last because it's 1999. Search Nintendo. I was curious how far they could go with it. Okay. So Roottrees France is kind of a dead end. This one's got 3. 5 pieces, 5 pieces, 5 pieces. Standard issue gunk. Okay, what's this? Grandorf School for the Deaf, formerly Grandorf Dove, is located about an hour from the Roottrees offices. Used to be in Butler County. Okay, so maybe we can look up that in Butler County. 1980, I guess. Which means this needs to go kind of. It's the Rift. Portrait of a Changed Man. Okay, this is a singer I don't remember much of. New page. Grandorf Dove. Is Butler County, but it serves much of that part of Pennsylvania nearby Ohio. According to their website, it was formerly named Grandorf Dove from 1923 to 1990. So in the last 9 years, because Grandorf was the last name of the founder, and Dove is the Danish word for death. The founder had issues with the government translator, leading to an odd transcription issue. In 1990, it was renamed to better represent the school's purpose and correct the embarrassing lack of effort and awareness demonstrated by the government officials in those early days. Shocker. The staff is listed on the website. Scan through all the way and find that the principal is fluent in 5 languages, including ASL. She had been working at the school for over 15 years. Ford's bio also mentions she's not deaf herself, but rather learned sign language to communicate with the deaf, and mentions she was responsible for securing funding for the Hudson Wing. Okay, so these are going to be important dilly-doos. Hudson Wing was an expansion to the Grandorf Dove, now Grandorf School of the Deaf, first built in 1982. It's a separate, much smaller building, half a block from the main campus, and operates as a smaller, independent school that offers free ASL lessons for the family members, friends, and caretakers of deaf children. According to their history site, they got their name after the president of the Roottrees Company generously donating $250,000 towards the construction of the building. There's also a very vague history section. Can someone fill in with details from the other information you've seen about the school? It mentions the donations came at the insistence of an employee of Roottrees at the time. It mentions that she learned ASL from the main school before the Hudson Wing ever existed, to surprise her future husband, who was deaf. Realizing how useful a service like this could be. Okay, that all seems relevant. So it's an employee of this time frame. Gwyneth Cattrall is now listed. Let me do that one. Oh, that's trying to piece things together. This might be click. remember. I think it's this one, right? Wait, no, I think I filled all this in. Yeah. Okay. So Lewis, her name was Ford, right? Yeah, Miss Ford. Susan Ford. Okay, Susan Ford has been moved to office staff. Susan Ford being moved to office staff implies that she was hired somewhere else. A special category that only existed for 1 year. Interpreter. Okay. Interesting. Ford. Maybe there's more on this about... what about the school's name? Come on. Oop. Jove was a school for the deaf near Butler and was regularly listed in the article with other local schools. The Butler County Times archive includes what seems to like an endless list of snow cancellations, extracurricular activities, and weekend events that began over 70 years ago and stretch until now, or until 1990. Right, because they changed the name, so I might need to search the actual. Sorry. It's the avalanche of useless information. You almost miraculously discover one useful article. The school was at the center of a crime article in 1982. It seems that someone defaced the school and vehicles outside the brand new Hudson wing of the school with multiple broken windows, and one of the teacher's car was painted with profanities and accusations of infidelity. So, okay. So I think we're coming here. Good old Susan. She's fast with the hands, am I right? Wink. Brain. There we go. A few weeks later, a follow-up article provides more detail. There was one arrest. Thomas Hughes, who was coincidentally a former student at the school. Apparently, the destruction came weeks after he married the school's newest teacher, Mrs. Hughes. She was not a teacher when he went. He graduated a few years earlier. According to the reported investigation into police reports, trials, and restraining order, Mr. Hughes was convinced that he was not the father of Miss Hughes' current pregnancy. He was released on bail, and the school had agreed not to press criminal charges after a agreement that he was made to pay for the damages and for the couple to begin divorce proceedings. It seems Thomas Hughes, Mrs. Hughes, and the Hudson wing all appeared further. Okay. So, like, it's not explicit, but, like, that does imply that Thomas Hughes is going to be our unknown man here, right? Because I guess this would be... I guess not. Okay, well, what would be your job then? It's either interpreter or teacher or... Because you weren't a secretary, you became an office worker. Of the jobs that I know she had, it doesn't appear to be on this list, so we probably have to keep digging. this is all relevant information. The school was renamed to something. There we go. Because it says that it stops, but like that's the old name. Yeah. School of Deaf has made a few odd appearances here and there in the Butler County Times since 1990s. It's not too many that you can't look at all of them, and so after scrolling through a few pages, you manage to find something incredibly useful in an article that isn't even focused on the school itself. Local students provide key evidence in scientific study. The article from March of this year mentions that the Ford sisters, who attend public school in okay, interesting, are one of only a handful of identical twins in the world who suffer from 2 different genetic issues. Okay. One of them has asthma, and the other has a deadly allergy to peanuts. Their mother, a Miss Susie Ford, who is the principal at that school, was originally contacted by researchers looking to identify if there were any sets of twins where one was born deaf and the other was not. Well, that's not what... Also, I'm just going to highlight that. Also, the fact that that's their mother. Okay. Well, she didn't have any twins attending her school. She asked if her daughters, Melissa... Okay, there we go. Could be useful, and it turns out they were. She says they couldn't be more different. My youngest, we all call her that, even though it's only by 15 minutes, is shy, but essentially hasn't stopped running from the moment she learned to scarper. Asthma has kept her sister off the soccer field, but she's the definition of an extrovert and is even performing in a local production of Is There Life After High School later this year, and there's an evidence, okay. There's a picture in evidence. Complete your thought. So that's asthma and an EpiPen, okay. Click. Okay, my youngest. Let's see, my youngest, we all call her that, even though is shy, but essentially hasn't stopped running from the moment she learned to scarper. Okay, so asthma kept her sister. Okay, whoop. You're the EpiPen. You're that. You're both students, K through 12. Whoop. Okay, but which one is which? Oh, this is in quotes. Wait a minute. Generally when something's in quotes in this game, like, it's a dead giveaway of, like, you should look at this. Whether it's in this article or not, I don't know. Okay, so Heather Ford. So, yes. Oh. Forderino. I've already forgotten your name. Melissa. There we go. Okay, I'm pretty sure that those two are right. Pretty sure that bit of information's right. I think we're on the 4 people rule still. I actually don't remember. No, we're totally on the 4 people rule. Okay. So now, weirdly, we have to find... a picture, I think. But yeah, this one. Who is this one? It's provided, wow. she's the only picture I have access to at the moment. Need to read my notes on. Immediately. Big sass sea bass. Right. Is this one? Susie. Okay, yeah. Okay, so yes to that, and then interpreter. Oh shit! No, she's the principal. Right. Okay. So I think that's all of Hugh's shenanigans. That being said, we are missing a picture for him. Which I think is interesting. But that might come up as we're searching through other stuff. Right, I remember I couldn't find her name anywhere. Let's pull up the notes again. This is on Miracle's side. Mary Beth Clementine. Whole World under new label. What we did do? Listen. Did I search this? No. Published before she legally changed her name. What's this? Sites about old records. Do I have a business watch, chef's signature? I mean, if it's a popular hymn, that's just going to cause the same problems, right? Oh. Oh! Okay. So just got a few times when it first reviewed by the magazine, however, it was listed under her name Quaker. Oh, of course, her last name's Quaker. Ah! Ha ha ha! Booyah. Okay, that means his name's not Clementine.
Hey there, it's us. So I just have to say, the work you're doing here is fantastic.
So fantastic, in fact.
There goes Clark. Always the bad cop. Go ahead.
Well, our law firm, Ruby Legal Enterprises, is having trouble keeping up. They're actually begging us to stop submitting new Roottrees. They said it's getting difficult to verify your progress.
That sounds like a them issue, not a me issue.
Well, consider that a good thing. I told Clark you'd get results.
She says that like I didn't believe her. Regardless, the bad news is it's going to take 5 potential tree additions before anyone locks in from now on.
Okay. Cool.
Good luck.
And keep up the good work.
So, I will say one of the things that I liked about the Oberdin, Return to the Oberdin, is that its success criteria was consistent. Like, some of them were harder to deduce, and they gave you a little clue about that. But, like, they didn't keep moving. And granted, I feel like this is, like, expansion content, right? But, like, they didn't keep moving the goalposts. Because, like, at the very start of this, during the tutorial, you're told, do these 3, right? And then it becomes... Do I have a... Okay, apparently there's another picture of him floating around somewhere. I didn't realize that was empty. Anyway, it says there's 3, and then you get through most of the way through this, and it's like, JK, you need 4 of them. It's like, okay, well now we need 4 of them. I guess that's not that big of a deal. And then like we just saw, we hit another checkpoint here where it's like, well now you need 5. It's like, what are we doing here? Why? But I digress. Alright, so yeah, I do remember that. He's a little something or other. Actually, we just need to hold this up. And sorry, I keep having to check Discord. Comment. Yep. So that is this guy over here and wife. New Orleans. Mother was named Mary with Clementine. Single line. Adoption. Oh, I should probably make sure I highlight. Okay. Under unusual circumstances. Passed away in 1994, so only 5 years ago. Beth Clementine. The Portland Telegraph. Right, and then her younger kid who's like has gotten in trouble. Billy Sims is the principal of that. Alright, sir. Oh yeah, I remember that. You got a good line in there. Trust me, I'm as surprised as anyone. Principal, 50 Minutes of Fame, Crocodile, Clementine. It's not really clear why he was there, though. Oh, 15 Minutes of Fame. Maybe this guy shows up here. Hey, it does. The small piece is about a fight between Sims and Crocodile, but they tried to approach from a different perspective. Their goal was to paint a picture of two men involved from others who knew them best. Not only did they manage to interview Sims' wife Carla, as well as multiple members of the staff, but they hunted down Colleen Webb, Mark's ex-wife. Okay. Any information. Also, I'm wrong about this. Sterling Clementine? Is his name not Sterling? Where did I even get that information from? Email. Student Mark. Both times to her manager Sterling. Yeah, they split up, so that's... Oh, wait. No, I literally just said Sterling. I don't know why my brain is like Stuart. Stuart is the name of her kid. Where did that information go? It was on the screen just a second ago. Yep, both times to our manager Sterling. Edison was small. Oh, founded by Sterling Edison, so his name is actually probably his name is Sterling Edison, but they're named Clementine. But she legally changed her name to Clementine, and they divorced, so she probably got her name back. Okay, I think I understand. Back to the periodical. According to the section with Colleen, she and he met when they worked for an airline. She worked in an airport newsstand. Not that matters, because she doesn't have a... Yeah. That being said, her name is Colleen Webb. Colleen Webb. Cool. Which means he probably went there to fight somebody because his kid was there. When did this incident take place? Oh, I I guess it doesn't count as in the history because I searched it. Or I linked to it. Yeah, we're actually down here, right? Yeah. Okay. 1994. So this is still fairly recent. High school. It was at a graduation ceremony. Okay, so if this is true, either this is relating to this person because they're fairly young, or this person got married super early because of a kid, I would assume. Because that was 5 years ago. Well, no, 5 years ago puts you at 25, or 25, 23. Not impossible to have a kid at 23, so. And by not impossible, I mean it's very possible. It's very likely, so. Colleen Sheenerman was a drinker, would often have wild mood swings. When he was charged with assault of a fellow pilot, lost his job, they divorced. At the time, she was pregnant with their second daughter. Okay, so second daughter. Okay, so he's got 2 girls. Which means... Oh, weird. That means they might either have the name Webb or... And I understand now why this isn't connected. They were both adopted. So, like... I am curious, though, will they have the last name Webb or Colleen? Okay, but if she was pregnant in 1975, that means... Why the frog was he at? Well, oh no, he was there for his grandkid, right? No, I thought he was there for his kid. Yeah, his daughter's graduation. For violating it in an attempt to visit his daughter's graduation. Okay, so apparently I need to do maths here. So she was pregnant in 1975, so we can put the birth around 1976. No, yeah, I guess if you're 18, that puts you roughly in that time frame. 18 years on top of that, 3, carry the 1, would be 1993. Like, that's off a little bit. Maybe 1994 if... But that would be the birthday, not necessarily the scholastic year, so yeah, I guess. But yeah, I wanted to also... Their second daughter. She left him and moved to San Diego to live with her sister and told her oldest that her dad had to fly planes for the army. She raised them both by herself, and although she never went through the trouble of changing their names legally, they used the web names so that nobody would connect them with... Okay, so they used the web name so nobody would ever connect them to her ex-husband, but she didn't change their name legally. Okay, so not changing their name legally means their last names are still Clementine. Yeah, too much. There we go. Frog, man, I don't... Would it be... No, okay. Definitely not Starlit. Oh, Supermarket Tabloid, absolutely. Kind of sleazy, so they're not afraid to publish a few details that are more reputable news publications normally wouldn't. Billy Simmons, and it seems they did a report on it. You gain a few new bits of information, though it might not be useful. Once arrested for throwing a Molotov cocktail at a company that was found to be probably not true. According to the police paperwork, Crocodile Clementine's bail was paid for. We'll look that up in a second. Other students that were at the event to find out if anyone knew anything, in the word going about was that Mark Clementine showed up for his daughter Mary. Okay. So one of them's name is probably Mary. Who is this person? A regional fast food chain held a competition in 1993 that offered free meals for life to anyone that legally changed their name to that. Lucinda Jacobson. This page hasn't been updated in the last 8 months, I mean, Oh, okay. Yeah, so, no. Almost certainly not. Okay, nope, not welcome. Nope. Oh, it's double B. No. Mary Webb in San Diego has a website called Web on the Web. Apparently, it's a personal travel diary that also doubles as an advertisement for a travel agency. There are descriptions of Mary's services, including booking flights and cruises. Almost all of them involve extremely niche audiences, and it seems Mary is the #1 agent when it comes to booking spiritual vacations aboard ghost ships and in specific hotel rooms that are said to be haunted. She also has a dedicated section for more traditional modern cruises that cater to specific groups, such as fans of boy bands. In the diary entry, she talks about the trips she personally taken and uses this as an opportunity to feature descriptions of amenities and excursions. Not extrusions. Excursions. Words are hard. The ships offer, even when you're on them to see a specific band or ghost. There's also pictures of ships, hotels, landmarks, and places she's visited, as well as a picture of Mary herself. Okay. That's Mary. Web on the Web Paranormal Travel Agency. What? That's a choice. Oh, corporate composition photography. Apparently found it very niche for doing that. Ghost ship. It was lost at sea. Nobody knew what happened, but fans. Cool. We'll dig into you in a second. I guess the question is, like, is she going to be the... Well, it's got to be the youngest daughter. Right? Almost certainly. I've already forgotten her name. Mary? Might have been Mary. Travel agent. Corporate composition photography or photograph. Yeah, photography is a photograph. I don't know why my brain is doing this. Photography studio that was listed on a few different sites for businesses in San Diego. It seems to have been possible to hire them to take professional quality photos for businesses of all sorts. As far as you can tell, it appears it no longer exists. The company is also mentioned on a photography site with some IRC chat logs. I've seen that the site is the personal page of a member of the IRC. The frog is the IRC. They have our internet relay chat. It's like AIM, but okay. One of them was found in 1996. Hey, let's go. When Val, the former head photographer of Q&A with her users about taking pictures for promotional materials. Newspaper were pretty technical. They not only seemed irrelevant, but generally don't go over your head. One of the questions, however, mentions that Val was on the cover of Telephoto and asked about Iraq. Okay. This question was quickly shut down by the person running the Q&A, who said Val does not wish to answer any questions from his photojournalism days, nor does he wish to talk about LBP. Well, seems like a number of things here. Lower back pain, lead base, low blood pressure. Nope. Some businesses have Lynch building plastics. Maybe this one? I guess it would be this one, right? Business, which is a good start. Unfortunately, it seems like it's located in Ireland. Owner's name Nicole. He goes by Nick Luxury, but it's very unlucky. Okay. Plastics, bridal, Lincoln baby photography. Oh, okay. Seems like a solid lead, as it mentions Val, an award-winning photographer on the page. It's a business in Beacon, New York, and on the site it has a picture of a baby and a caption with Cam Lincoln reaches for his namesake. I guess he takes after his father, Val. Cam Lincoln. Copyright was fairly recent. Okay, well that's Bobby. Cam Lincoln. Who the frog is Val? Like, I mean, I assume this has to be Cam Lincoln because it's a generational thing, and like this incident happened when she was graduating high school 5 years from the date, so like, that seems about right. I mean, it's a Bobby. Baby. It's a baby. But this person doesn't have a photo. But it said, wait. That must not be, it has to be right. Well, I guess it doesn't have to be right, but it's a little weird. Somehow we get here. From his photo, but with their second daughter. Thanks. Yes, Team Blast, perfect. Shocker, Val doesn't do anything. Wait. Oh, don't do that. Where did it go? This one. So his name would have to be Val Lincoln. Damn it. Oh my god, I'm just stupid. How do you spell Lincoln? section to the cover, which features one of his photos, as well as portions of the article have been added. Okay. Okay. This 1992 issue focuses on the photos of Al Lincoln, a photographer who went over during Desert Storm. He won the award for photojournalism. Got to start in high school when wait. That's his Clementine. Okay. Okay, so this will be Val Lincoln. Okay. I understand now. I got nothing sitting there. So this is going to be 3 links here, and then I got to figure out other stuff here. Dun. Okay, so that, hopefully this article just tells me. Started in high school when he took a photo. He couldn't decide what else to do and thought it would be best career in the world to shoot for Playboy. He quickly found he had a knack for... He began to skip lunch in his free periods to spend more time in the darkroom. After graduating, he tried to pivot to landscape photography, but didn't have a passion for it. I work much better when I trying to tell the story of a person or an object. He got lucky when a photographer mentor of his, who was going overseas to cover the war, decided to take a chance on him. Most people wouldn't call it lucky to go to an active war zone for no pay. Absolutely no one would call that lucky. But he bought my plane ticket, all my meals, and even pulled some strings so that we could rush my passport. For someone that had never had a real job or even left California, it was a hell of a break. Val was only 19 at the time. Shot the photograph that won him an award. Lisa Clementine, who lost an arm in Operation Desert Saber. According to the article, the woman was not subject to direct combat, and Lisa was in a vehicle at the time. The vehicle had to be pulled over suddenly when the road ahead was partially destroyed, and she and a fellow soldier were severely injured by a landmine. Yep. Surgery, and I took this picture. Then, until she shipped out, I kept finding excuses to go back and take more pictures of her. I guess it was fate, because that's the photo that won me the award, got me into magazine, and it led to my engagement. Oh, well, that's actually kind of cute. Sucks that she lost an arm, but so her name is Lisa. You're tearing me apart, Lisa. No, I've never actually watched all of The Room because, well, I mean, I guess you could call her a soldier, or I mean, it might be, oh, okay, it's just military, generic military. Okay, I do think we actually have all of that set up. So I think now we tear into the much, much longer version of this. We know it's most likely a woman named Elizabeth. Revolves around Ellis Roottrees. Speaking of which, one of these, I mean, they're both adopted, but I think he's the one that's well, his hair turned, I don't know. Also, we don't have an update for Rafferty. We need update for Clark, Curse Rafferty. Oh, wait. Let's try going to his, because, like, read that in a second, because this is just going to be a picture, right? Oh, okay, so click. According to Chris, it's a photo of him, his father, and guide Hudson. When they were distracted, he snuck into the supply. Does not know who the photo of the woman was. Okay. So that had to be you. That had to be you. I think that might have been you? Question mark. And then you got the other picture of Guy Hudson, who started wearing that green. Yeah, it has to be, because I think in. Right? I think he started wearing. No, he's still in the orange there. But we do know that at a certain point, when was this photo taken? Let me actually read. His site seems to have been discovered by the masses. Gone are the art pictures of his cousins. Instead, it's a list of questions that people keep emailing him. The most relevant ones are the following: Are you the son of? Yes, I didn't grow up with him. I remember him from when I was a little kid and I moved away very young and lived in Pennsylvania. We were there with Pete, my stepdad. My dad and I spoke a few times. When I found his phone number on a check he sent us in the mail when I was 15, he was happy to hear from me, and now he calls me once a month and came to visit me at college. He tells me about things I don't remember and people like Guy Hudson or Ernie Manson. Okay. I used to know the Roottrees, but never the sisters. I know the Roottrees. I was in the office sometimes when I was a kid, and I definitely met Guy Hudson before he died, but I don't remember. My memory is weird. It's hard to know what I actually remember and what I only think I do because I have pictures. For example, I have a photo from when I was 5, and I'm in the office with my dad, and Guy was there. I made myself sick by eating chocolate, and some woman I don't know cleaned my face. I don't know if it's my memory of that came from the picture or not. The photo has been added to your evidence. How do you have proof of? I knew Ernie had a heart problem because my dad told me on one of our phone calls. I asked him about the poison because I saw it on the Roottrees Curse website, and he emailed me some old stuff, including the proof. But even with the proof, the website didn't take it down. It spelled finance wrong. Not good at spelling or writing. I'm good at painting and other art. I'm going to school to learn how to edit movies. I want to make cartoons someday. Lulu is much better at spelling. So yeah. How did I miss these? I feel like I looked specifically for them and I was like, there's only one to update. And very clearly that was incorrect. Okay. None of this, however, helps with Shocker, the oldest one here. Oh, that's my good lad. Because all the information we have is from 6 pieces. There's Beth, most likely Elizabeth. Didn't I search for a book? Different book. Family Man, that's right. Bess Williams. Yeah. Well. Okay, so we're still in the right place because this was updated. Bess Williams was an author born late 1800s. She lived just outside of Miami and died tragically young, 1926. Bess has a minor history with the Roottrees. Her only notable book is widely considered blatant propaganda. It's all been forgotten until recently. Also mentions Bess Williams. The library not far from where she lived was practically destroyed. The building they named a non-fiction section after her. The library was expanded again in 1956 or 1963 when multiple libraries no longer exists. You find multiple libraries in the area. According to the website for the library system in Miami, the building where it once sat is now the Miami Print Museum. Searching for the Miami Print Museum, you come across their website. It states that their hours and list of exhibits is very small, admission is free, and they only have room for a few different displays. One of the exhibits is their courtyard, which includes a fountain as well as a statue of an unknown author, which has been added to your evidence. Another is a printing press that was used by the Miami Sunday, a now defunct weekly newspaper. The last is the original print of Cuba by Cubans. There's no records that you can find online or in your periodical search. Merged with another periodical and became the Miami Mercury Sunday, which folded after Bullis. I didn't want to do that. Will this undo? I want to undo the highlight. Delete. There you go. Well, it says it basically became defunct. So in a year, you find a small website about quick merging two smaller. Which was only notable to the author because by combining the names in the way they did, it was tied for the longest title for American newspaper time with a newspaper in Jefferson, Texas. Okay. So the newspaper thing didn't lead me. Miami Print Museum, North. It sits and is contributed to an unknown author. Case. It's merging. The Miami Sunday merged to become the Miami Mercury Sunday. So was there one called just Miami Mercury? Or maybe Mercury Sunday? Let's try Mercury Sunday. No. Let's try Miami Mercury. Oh, okay. And we now have access to every periodical. Cool. Is now a defunct newspaper that merged with the Miami. But at some point during this process, at least partially archived and available to your periodical search. It's great. What would we search in there? Well, I guess we would go back and start searching Best Williams, right? About the Best Williams section to the library. Where it was built. It mentioned that Beth's young son, now an orphan, was intended. Okay. But Bess isn't Beth. Like, do we work backwards? Split up? Guardian, adoption. John Doe. Huh. Okay. From 1949, the last year the paper existed, about a bidding board for a planned expansion to the library. Bidding was won by Wildcat Construction, including a new statue fountain in a second room. Okay, so they built the statue, so maybe they know. Some historical records, working in many buildings, Miami for. Okay, so maybe we gotta search this in the periodical. Because, like, they would have. Okay, construction was mentioned once in an article you've already seen. It also mentioned earlier under the headline Constructing a Better World. Frank Wildcat Williams left Florida in 1941. Construction worker and returned hero. He won the Navy Cross for bravery, sacrifice, having carried a fellow soldier to safety under heavy Nazi fire. Now, he and his wife Ophelia. carrying his fellow soldiers through tough times at home. Okay. Wildcat Construction is Frank's company, focused on creating opportunities for soldiers finding difficulty getting back to normal. Ophelia has handled outreach to the lives of local veterans, who are often able to provide insights into their husband's needs and conditions. She has, through such outreach, found 13 veterans. The wards serve as his employees. The community support has been unending and overwhelmingly positive. It has gone to the point where if Frank bids on a project, other companies have decided to step back and let his soldiers handle it. Yeah, that doesn't happen anymore. This has become a bit of a sore spot for local politicians and business owners, as the bids are often not as low as they expected. The problem for them is that essentially Frank has a selective monopoly, and any attempt to circumvent it has caused an uproar and accused of being anti-American or un-American. Sorry, let's not use current terms for things. It's uncertain what will become of Wildcat Construction, but at least we're rooting for them. We search for Frank Wildcat. Oh, listed on different military history websites. He was awarded the Navy Cross. Yeah, because he's apparently a goddamn badass. He died 3 years ago, age 74, in a retirement community in Sweetwater, Florida. Which on the website of the local news channel. It was written by his surviving family. Also sheds some light on his personal life. He grew up an orphan because his family died in a hurricane. When he was very young. He could barely remember his mother and had no memory of his father. After the war, he ran a construction company that mainly hired World War II veterans and did a lot of jobs in and around the greater Miami area. He was a born jokester and shining light to the veterans who need him. And Doe mentions that he used to insist he married his wife Ophelia. As a matter of courtesy and convenience, she wouldn't have to change her last name. Okay, so they share a last name. Photos attached to Frank in his youth juggling hammers in front of one of his construction site, as he often known to do, according to the website. He is survived by, as well as his daughters, Barb and Sharon. Okay. Interesting. There's the image again. Okay, so these are... Wait. How does he fit into this, then? Question mark. Oop, too far. Huh. Huh. apologize for being quiet. I'm trying to think, because, like... Unless this is Ophelia... Williams. And then this would be... Frank Williams. But, like, he just died in 1996. Barb and Sharon Williams. I would assume Barbara. And I also don't know if this is the right order. I feel like I'm very used to people like oh, sorry. I'm used to people listing like the first sibling, and then the second, and the third, like listing chronological instead of alphabetical. Because honestly, it feels weird to do it a different way. But like none of that, because like that was a lot of information, but about what I think is here. Guardian shit, like it has nothing to do with the initial incident. Like typically we start with the initial incident and work our way down. Bess Williams. Wait, okay, but that's Williams though. So that implies... Huh. I don't understand. Let's go back to the 6 pieces, because, like... Yeah, guys have parties... Farm hands, it's all guys stuff, right? There's also a section where Sam speculates that Ellis may have also cheated on Gwyneth. Gwyneth was always much kinder to Sam. First invites Sam to things. Gwyneth was able to coerce into Sam, allowing Sam back into the family using some kind of leverage. Sam also heard her son Ernie once ask her who's Beth because he overheard them yelling at someone that name, as far as things know. Elizabeth, then supervisor of the farm. GWYN. Okay, so this is a new site. celebrities, but the general public perception of them as classic faces associated with the Roottrees Candy Company. It's always been in somewhat high regards. This was Ellis's intention as a family man with his family brand. Since Six Pieces, the candy company has placed much less of an emphasis on Ellis as a historical brand-connected figure, but there have also been those who have argued that it was his right to decide how to split his inheritance, that he did nothing wrong. Of course there are. This has led to some heated television exchanges and countless op-eds. First, Anderson Maple Farm only used to be a popular tourist attraction during the summer months when it had special tours. However, it has since been an explosion of off-season business as some religious and political groups decide to visit to show support for Alice and its traditional values and financial. Okay. Biggest eye roll, but whatever. This rise in support was in turn followed by I don't care pickets from gay rights activists when some particular inflammatory organization made their pilgrimages. Shocker. Amongst all the conflict, the farm has since shut down seemingly indefinitely. The website says check back later. There's no dates listed. The quotes from Beth's book appear to have been taken down. Interesting. Questions of questions abound. Bum. Whole bunch of pictures. Those records we're kind of done with. Same thing here. One bit of insight here, supposedly. Propaganda is information used, especially of a biased and misleading nature. Both sides predicting. book tells you nothing new about Ellis, and from what you know of his true feelings towards some of his extended family, you're not sure it tells you anything true about Ellis either. This reissue of the book. Ellis from the Business Watch, whose copyright is expired. Huh. Well, so this dude during World War II. One of you. Yeah. Roottrees. Life Between Worlds was tracked down by a reporter. This one was, as being in one of the most upscale memory care facilities. She relocated back to Pennsylvania and suffers Alzheimer's. There was a minor backlash to this reporter that tracked down Lauren down because they were caught standing on a ladder and holding the camera over the privacy wall to take a photo of her son Clark. Oh, that's very rude. But at the same time, so I saw that and it reminded me of the book, and I was just curious, like, if the book was going to have anything else. Because I was also remembering, like, that happened roughly in, like, World War I, World War II era. An entry entitled Cruelty from Laura Roottrees' diary, written in 1963, it focuses on the relationship between her mother and father. Sorry. These guys. Okay, so her pop, I think is what she called him. On the redundant information during a previous investigation, it mentions subject of affairs and maybe more useful this time around. Okay. I'm no stranger to true love. Jacob and I married at an age that most deemed unfit for marriage, but he was also enlisted at an age that seemed that most deemed unfit for war. We had no choice. I knew in my heart that our marriage was one for the ages, and he and I would still be together today if not for Okinawa. That was nearly 20 years ago, but there is an emptiness in my soul. I do not understand my contemporaries. So many girls I went to school with have taken multiple lovers. So many of my girlfriends' husbands have been unfaithful. If I am able to remain true to the ghost of a man, no chance of physical reciprocation. Jeez. I swear I'm a smart person, but sometimes I just can't do letters. No potential for a long conversation. How could it be so hard to love someone you can reach out and touch? Someone you can joke with? Yeah, questions abound there. I've not had to deal with such madness at home. My parents are a perfect match in the worst way. My mother's cruelty is a perfect fit for my father's general spite. In turn, Pop's status enables her incessant need to gloat and feel superior. I have grown up with their cruelty and disdain for others my entire life. Even my family remains unspared. They made fun of my grandpop and his family, saying, blood is thicker than syrup, but nothing's thicker than Ellis. They mimic Grandma Gwyneth's lisp and see her kindness as weakness. Elith, playeth, remember Tham. Oh, okay. Please remember Sam. Not even our family's melodies and religion go on mock. Remember God put only one eye in miracle. What? Sorry, that line confused me. I can say without a doubt in my mind. Oh. Wait a minute. Who's bet? Oh. Okay. And he had this super flattering piece, which means he spent time with an author. Okay. Okay. Okay, 'cause, yeah. I think I don't think we're down here. Ooh, too close. Okay. Whoa. It is literally Bess. And your last name was Williams, wasn't it? You were. Nope. Author. Okay. And I guess you would be the statue because you're from God knows how far away. 4. And then John Doe. See, this is the part that no, this should probably not be that. This is the part that I find strange, right? It's talking about their kid. Well, I guess. Why is this split up? Go into this. They married. Oh, but one of their kids are the guardian of this one. Because their first relationship. Okay. The question, so, but how does Frank go into this, though? Bess had a son. Only person, yeah. Williams. Must be Frank. Oh, Williams. There we go. Word construction. 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm wrong. Pretty certain about all this, so like something here is wrong. Bess Williams. What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It stands to reason that the statue would be of her because, like, she would have, like, it would have been so old. At this point, I'm just like scratching my head a little bit because, like, should have triggered. then the question is, why didn't the lock-in thing happen? What am I wrong about? Where am I wrong about it? Hmm. 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 Didn't highlight this. Citizen, website, let's see. Next named Eds. Oh, wait. Okay, so that's not what's knocking me or stopping me, but it does imply that I'm wrong about something. She got wounded. She couldn't still be. I mean, she lost an arm. She couldn't still be in the military. So maybe her most current career is not that. So it'd be Lisa Lincoln. So according to a military website, you find an amputee who lost a limb in Desert Storm. She runs a support group. Listed as professor at West Point. Okay, that's what's blocking me. Yeah. Lock in possible infidelity too. But yeah, lots of things locked in. Okay. Now I just gotta continue untangling this. So he was survived by 2 daughters. It's miracles bullshit. Barb and Sherry Williams. Becomes a computer here. Barb. Motivational speaker. She has a website that explains the services she offers. Her company address is listed as Coconut Grove, Florida. Flyer's been added to your evidence. Story will surprise you, uplift you, and then energize you. Lesson that anyone can take something away from. It's an evening with a truly wonderful message. Book Barb for corporate retreats, church events, or even school assemblies. She can customize the message for you. Barb Williams flyer. This is worth highlighting. It's 3 different testimonials from Greta Jones, Elmsworth, and from the Something Falls Gazette in Superintendent Brenton County. Okay. Okay. According to a flyer in your possession, the morning anchor of that. Unfortunately, has no online web presence. Do you find it listed as a giant list television call signs next to the city Springfield under the heading Effingham County. On specific cities and states to see if any local news has discussed the. Okay. I don't think that's important. Barb Williams. So it's still not. No. From a Gazette. So personal page is apparently one of three brothers. All three of them are contributors to a newspaper called the Kickawa Falls Gazette, and he tends to focus more on eastern United States. All the articles he's written are archived on his site. In the long-form versions of his review of Barb Williams' motivational show. Okay. From 1997. What is happening? Like, that's such a huge jump. I mean, there's a lot more there. Just time seems to, like, really. It's fine. According to Victor, he had seen Barb talk more than once. On this particular occasion, Barb talk was at a very large church, and it was clear she was an expert matching the presentation of her concepts for any particular crowd. Because she received a standing ovation, Barb started with a story about loss, specifically the loss of a bicyclist who had been hit by a car. She spoke about the death of any person as a darkness in their loved ones, a cold, empty void that begins to creep into a space where once was light, because the light could never return exactly how it once was. It's not really how light works, but I understand the metaphor. She says the only option is to nurture new sources of light to help fight back the darkness. Her conclusion was that finding hidden meanings in tragedy is the most important thing we can do. She used multiple biblical comparisons and finished by looping back around to her initial story and how she personally began to come around to this ideology. The biker who died was her son-in-law, and the Lanes Across America charity was created to fill the newfound darkness her daughter experienced. The charity, was the light. Okay, so Lanes Across America. So this is the bit that we're really here for. What do we want to search? It's Across America. Read that in a second. Partial wedding photo from the website was founded after the death of Drew Smith. Okay. Charity focused on adding bike lanes to major cities. The pages and pages of news articles that mention lanes across America have a similar summary in them. Formerly Lamb. Oh, why was it Lamb? I wonder. Lanes across America. What was the designation change? It was founded in 1987 after the death of Drew Smith. Would be helpful. Drew was biking home from work when he was hit by a car. Each year since, Lanes Across America grew. Well, it's gonna be Lanes Across Miami, right? Yeah. Yep, okay. Literally, the next couple of sentences. Lamb. I don't want that highlighted. I wanted to search it. That means we search lamb. It means to hit somebody? But what if the too many A's there. Searching for lanes across Miami does narrow down the pages and pages of articles you found earlier to only ones with more in-depth history about the charity. Find some additional. Lame was founded in 1987 and became LAA. In 1994, it was founded by Sharon Smith. I'm sorry, it was founded by Sharon Smith. Sharon and some other board members stepped down in 1992, and the current leadership took over. One of the oldest articles is a full uncropped version of the same wedding photo. It seems that after Sharon left Lame, they began to crop her and the rest of her wedding party out of the picture to solely focus on Drew, who's the face of the charity. I mean, that probably helps, yeah. But this is a lot of people. Okay. Okay. Huh. Okay. Question is, how do we fill this out? Like, where do they go? Wait, but they had 2 kids. So who the frog is? This particular thing here is kind of confusing. Like, I don't quite understand what it's trying to say here. So, like, they married. I understand that. Oh, I forgot to search this. Painting book. It's credited to Matt. At first glance, it doesn't seem really used. Well, you know what? First glances are for cowards. Out of brain. Okay. It still doesn't seem... Okay. Well, screw you, game. How about that? Now I'm an orphan. Even after being struck in the arm with a bullet, he managed to carry 2 miles. Oh. Yeah, okay, that's the part I was missing, how they're connected. He grew up an orphan, she left her son, now an orphan. I got it. He could barely remember his mother and had no memory of his father. That's all fine. Sharon Williams? Maybe this will get... Nope. Nothing for Sharon Williams. Okay. The question is, like, I don't know where to put them in the family tree. Because it's... Wait, am I just dumb? Sharon Smith. Okay. They split up. Why is this tied over here? What? Oh, that. Yeah, good job, me. Nope. Jones. WQ TV. to the city Springfield. There are, for whatever reason, over 30 Springfields in the United States. Probably need to list the state. Why can't this ever be easy? Eat my ass. Is the name of 2 different counties. One is in Georgia and one is in Illinois. Okay. I understand. So, let's do Springfield, comma. Okay, I gave us something here. Okay, that's the right one. When you redefine your search, you find a website that lists different channels there. The list seems to only feature broadcasts with female news anchors, and the person who runs them is ranked each using 3 categories, none of which are relevant to journalism. Good. One of them is... Okay, those are really round. Okay. I don't know how to spell Illinois because I'm stupid. Oh. Yes, I remember that. Is it, and it's located in the wrong county. Okay, so yeah. Well, may need to do a deeper dive on a specific city and state. Yeah, but the deeper dive is Springfield, feckin' Georgia. Different channels available there. Female news anchor. Who's channel 12? I guess the thing to search is channel 12? Don't do that. But like, that's implicit. Yeah, okay. I don't know why that's like circular. That's really strange. But also, I'm really confused on how to... Oh. Greta Jones. Oh, it's a different name. Okay. It's a news anchor who appeared to used to go by before her divorce. Greta Jones. To the ordeal you've gone through to simply figure out her current name, it's way easier than you expect to find that she has a website of her accomplishments. She's apparently the MC for All Female Speaking Tour in 1977. The tour was called Storytellers of Sisterhood, the Mothers and Daughters of Earth. You do a search for it, and it seems some of the stories were compiled into a book. Public library. Doop. It's an anthology of stories told on a few different storytellers' sister tours. Contains direct transcripts as well as relevant. Receive stories told on stage. Is the editor, not the sole author. One of the stories by Barbara Williams. Okay. Maybe it'll tell me what the frog is going on with. Barbara Williams had the transcript of her story she told on stage published into a book. The first part of her story focuses on 2 16-year-old girls. My sister Sherry was a brat, always skulking, often disobedient, never on time. She borrowed things without asking and even ran away from home, only to sneak back to the next day like nothing had changed. My daughter Sharon, on the other hand, was a beautiful person. She had some marks. She was very artistic and creative and even volunteered at an animal shelter. She continued to tell stories of the 2 girls until she shifts the narratives. What's the difference between Sherry the brat and Sharon the beauty? Is it nature, nurture? You different education, different opportunities? The answer is nothing. There is no difference because my sister and my daughter are the same girl. Noni? Barb reveals that her daughter was the result of an unexpected pregnancy when she was only 15. I met a boy at a county fair. Unlike us, he lived in the nice part of town. He went to the good school to a teenage girl. It felt like a fairy tale, but there were boxes all over his house. He was moving in 3 days. Those 3 days were heaven to me. The final night, he surprised me. He told me he could actually see me again soon. He planned to return to visit his grandparents. I thought I was giving him a reason to keep his promise. I never saw him again, and when I finally got desperate enough to ask around, a friend of a friend told me he hadn't even given me his real last name. Oh, well, that's just wrong. Barb also talks about when she found out... Wow, this family tree got really weird. Talks about when she found out she was pregnant. I was convinced my life was over, but my parents, they took charge. I had to live at home and work a part-time job, but they removed the burden of motherhood. I managed to scrape out a degree in English. And as far as my daughter was concerned, I was her much older sister. Barb uses the story to come to a conclusion. When I was younger, I thought my sister was the brat, and I wasn't wrong, but she ran away from home to work at that animal shelter. She borrowed my clothes for presentations at school, and her creativity allowed her to open up Sherry's hair. It took me far too long to realize that beauty was always there too. In fact, the brat and the beauty exist in all of us. It was my inner brat that kept me blind to the truth, and I'd like to say it was the beauty in me that's finally able to see what I was missing. I implore you to call upon the beauties in yourself. Okay. That explains why these threads are so confusing. Okay. So now I understand how to put this together. Barbara Williams. You are Sharon Williams. Quite, yes. You are the dead biker dude, who I have forgotten the name of. Drew Smith. Probably Andrew. You are a beautician, or what would they call it in this? Hairstylist? Firefighter? Hairdresser, there we go. Probably the married lad. The frog, did I not click? I did not click your face, okay. And you are a public speaker. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so I literally have to finish the family tree before I can get any of this locked in and put in that last photo, which is kind of weird, actually. Like, how can I confirm the game then? It's fine. Okay. But all that awkwardness aside, which means after he dies, she gets remarried to somebody. Presumably that guy. Unless that's... yeah. Presumably she gets married to this guy. We're going to need more information here. Yep. This place she worked. Orlando. The owner of the business is listed as Sherry. That. Sherry is a large fan and on weekends can bring the style of Brittany, Christina, or even the Rachel to your door. And the amount is very, very long and presented as one paragraph with multiple run-on sentences and no pictures. You get the sense that if she were to do your hair, she'd be doing a lot of talking. It mentions that that her husband Pete was her late husband's college roommate. Late husband's college roommate. She and he had never spent any significant time together until she became a widow. Built a charity together. Okay, so his name is... Peter, and whatever the god-awful name that was. And then that actually just leaves us kiddos. She also brags about her kids, Tony, Mark, and Cricket. Her oldest, Tony, seems to get the short end of the stick. His two listed accomplishments are that he's the oldest and he's a straight A student. Mark, on the other hand, has multiple baseball accomplishments listed. Apparently, his Little League team is nationally recognized. Cricket York is near the end and has an entire section dedicated to her. Ooh. She's an actress on local... That, and the reason Sharon relocated to Miami to Sherry, in addition to being hireable to come do your due, is a stylist for the show. I don't know if that means her name is York or if she just shortened it, because that's a mouthful. That her agent recommends they changed her last... Yeah, okay. It's easier to pronounce. The rest of the section describes how she got the part. Okay. So, good old Tony. Baby. But it does mention she's a stylist. I don't know if that's in here. It is not, so we're sticking with hairdresser, which makes sense, I think. Okay. Oh, no, wrong one. I'm on the computer screen, thank you. Yeah, I guess the very first thing we're going to do is... Okay. Children's show filmed in a studio in Orlando, Florida, has been aired since 1991. In the show, multiple adults and children interact with different animal puppets in a small town called Libery. Unlike other popular shows, including non-human performers, this one isn't funded by the public. Instead, it is paid for by donations from business related to education. This includes the textbook manufacturer of that, tutoring companies such as that, and a well-known publisher of picture books. From what you can find, it's syndicated in a few markets across the United States and Southern United States, sorry. I was about to say that doesn't make sense. Like other many grew up. They were in the news last year with a primetime news program, full comparison of their 4th ed book and their 5th ed book. Schools were complaining that the two editions seem remarkably similar, yet charging almost double for their newer edition. They did the previous one. The news program announced that between the new books, there were only 16 total changes. And the most noticeable was that the cover was changed from a picture of a water droplet creating concentric circles on a lake to a close-up of a feather. The other 15 were all instances of changing 4th to 5th. This led to a geometry problem where the book asks the students to calculate the 5th side of a rectangle. Okay, interesting. Honestly, I feel like I had textbooks that looked exactly like that. Tutoring service, they have a deal with Liberty Library and features some of the actors from the show in the picture on their website. According to their site, okay, which will give us the picture of Cricket, I assume. According to the site, they actually provide tutoring for all the actors and actresses on the show, accommodate their shooting schedules, including Cricket York, who is seen Cricket and her brothers ready to learn. Yep. Okay, so that was 2 things. My eye is twitching. Ah. Okay, so that's going to be Cricket. Show tackling people who need glasses. Yeah, some of us are blind, okay? Cricket, and then those two. Okay, so you're the kid. Your name is freaking Cricket, for God's sake. It sounds like legally they changed the name to York, so I don't know if that's gonna work. You're actually an actor. Then we have the older of the two here. Oh, no. The oldest here gets the dubious honor of just existing. So sorry, Tony. Tony is another thing for Anthony, right? I think so. The question is, did she allow them to keep Andrew's name? Or Smith's name, I should say. I would assume so. Like, when you marry into another family, you don't change the kid's goddamn name. You're a student. You're a student. Your face looks like this. And... Mark... Smith. No. Something is wrong. Huh. What is wrong? I wonder. I wonder. Oh, right. Duh. They might want her full name. There we go. Okay. That's what it was. Okay, so there's two more.
Hi again. I know you probably thought you were done. But it turns out what you're doing here might have some pretty major repercussions on the family tree.
Hell yeah.
Again. Also, there's something really strange happening. I can't explain it.
Neither of us can.
I'd call it a simple misunderstanding, but it's digging at the pit of my stomach. I just have a feeling.
They're gonna kill
Clark?
me. I need to run.
Last week, let's just say being the president, sometimes people bring me things.
Just skip to the important part.
Right. One of our janitors brought me some hair she'd found in Ruby Spratt's trash. It was Bonnie Hudson's.
Ruby Spratt. I don't know who Ruby Spratt is.
Bonnie is Guy's sister. She'd sent us her hair to test potential Roottrees, since her DNA is closest to Guy's. But Ruby threw it out, and I wasn't sure why she would have done that. Especially right before we began testing the tree you provided. When I asked, she told me she thought the samples needed to be fresh every time they did a test.
It seems really odd. Ruby was the one who convinced us to do DNA testing in the first place. She seemed so knowledgeable. I don't like it. You've done more of a deep dive on these people than anybody else has. Clark will keep a closer eye on the DNA tests from now on. You have an eye for anomalies. We need you to find the smoking guns.
If there's anyone you're 100% positive can't be a Roottree,
Oh.
Or any you've got definitive evidence are Roottrees, then we might be able to catch Ruby in a lie.
Huh. Okay. Oh. Okay, they had like a whole... I know they said two, but like that's a whole ass thing there. Nope. Nope. You go there. You for this. Okay, those are possible Roottrees. Review all possible Roottrees and input your deductions. Then be able to end your search and reveal the truth. 13 possible Roottrees left to identify. So like he's a possible Roottree. He's most likely, well, I don't think we have proof that he isn't. Haven't found this clue yet. Oh. Okay. But, like, he's definitely a Roottrie. Like, then I'm gonna ask about him. That one's not. I'm almost certain. Well, okay, I'm gonna give us 30 minutes because this is actually this is like new and interesting, I think. So. So let's kind of go over here because like this is the main one because if he is, everything down here is. Like definitively, I feel like in most cases, like it's not definitive. Like I don't think it's possible to prove he was. Oh, and that's why this section is outlined, okay. Because that was also weird, like, why that was outlined. But, okay. Jeez, we're gonna have to go back to them? That's a whole bit, okay. Then we have Clementine Stewart. These are both adopted, though. Oh, there's another fucking guy. Dude, keep it in your pants, please. What do we know about Clementine Stewart? Who's a police officer, mother's name Beth. Old world. Yeah, so. Where's her letter? Nope, this be Brad. Apparently Richard couldn't. Yep. How do we get here, though? Sorry, I'm trying to... She adopted 2 children in the late 1940s, Stuart and Mark. Adoption... So they're going through the system to adopt Stuart. Her other son was adopted later. She was specifically there to detail her experience. Okay. Her unusual... So, like, it's almost certain that he's not a Rootree. He, however, is most likely a Rootree because he was, like, the basket baby, right? I want to look into this, but I'm just reviewing. I'm pretty sure they did the, like, DNA test, and David Fellows, the rapper, was, like... Wasn't he, like, confirmed? Oh, there's still missing clues here that I haven't found. Okay. So, essentially, we don't have enough information to make that determination. Missing one there, missing one there, probably. Missing a thing there. Missing one there. Ford Heather. Oh. They were right, they were sisters, they were twins. Another one was deaf, the one had asthma, and one has allergies. So Hughes Thomas, though. She was promiscuous and, like, blatantly buggering people. So these are almost certainly a yes. Because neither one of them is deaf. Not that, like, that's a guarantee, mind you, but... Okay, so we're still missing some information on other people. Which is interesting. And then there's this whole section here. Secretary, I'm almost certain. So, like, we haven't found these, right? But, like, maybe I'm wrong. Also, they just dropped this in, and, like, I don't know what this is about. Whoever it is had that kiddo. Okay. So I do think we answered the ones we can answer. The fact that this guy is missing so many clues is interesting, because, like, I thought he was the first big one of, like, he did a DNA test and was found to be true, but then we're also saying that the DNA test might not be truthful. So let's dig into Guy's bit here. Because I feel like we also didn't, like, look up or use... Yeah, this one. Jane Doe, Rootree, and... Nope. which I thought was weird. Okay, Felix Fellows. Claiming herself a Rootree, however, she claims she slept with Guy Hudson, that her daughter was a Rootree. In the shadows, this guy's voice. She referred to her daughter as Jane Doe Rootree. Self-inflicted. Seems to spring up organically because nobody knew how else to refer to her. Day after news article. Non-mom particularly credible. She credible and with a moment from that. Other people can skip for her stories' extreme similarity. Many of the same details of his mother's story. She was her job secretary in the period of the late 70s. After fumbling 5E's story so publicly, the Rootree were more prepared to handle all the. Within a week, a DNA test proved his daughter could not be related to the Rootrees. Okay, but I do think this. There's a News Time article that said. I think we looked this up before. It did, but apparently we did not. Okay. I apparently just did not look at this. Jane Doe Rootree, the first and only mention of the phrase came the week after. Apology for featuring her in the first place, because basically it got summarily dismissed. This is useless. Okay, we have no intuition stuff here. Interesting. But then there's this one that's like full of bullshit. Not afraid to expose details other publications would avoid. Shortly after, it was not a Rootree. Exposed personal details about the Anomon under the hairline. The Anomicon works as a manager at a department store in North Carolina. Daughter's name was Courtney May. May. They also said that the woman that vouched for her famous cover story they didn't identify News Time, perhaps to avoid being sued, is named. They also said that the woman asked and that she filed for bank. Speculates that Maman and Courtney were in on it together, and even speculated that they might have been lovers. Okay. Okay, but they were talking about the company records and the things being very similar. Special management, but we're looking at like his era. Caroline Schwartz. The secretaries. Which means this would be an Anomon if this is correct. which would make his name Courtney May Watts. Yeah, stop it. Nope. Black test on white background and a few things from the view counter. You can tell you're the only one of a few hundred people who have visited. She's not shy about claiming she is Jane Doe Roottrees. Okay. As proof, she posted an obscure cover from the News Time thing where she was featured as News Time, as well as a different picture of herself that appears to be a wedding picture. So it seems to be created in defense of her mother, who had been the target of public scrutiny. And the true story of Jane Doe Roottrees, courtesy of Courtney May Newton. Everyone has everything wrong. My mom approached the Roottrees before 5Ps was ever on the cover of News Time. Nobody at Roottrees Company took us seriously. Listened to us after we appeared on TV and magazines. The site has a scanned letter from the Ruby Legal Group to Courtney's mother. In very polite legal terms, it seems to accuse her of explaining their name and orders to leave Roottrees alone. So a few weeks before the article, okay. And it seems legitimate. Discuss her mother's magazine feature in more detail. Do you know how difficult it was to convince anyone to tell your story? But the way you're kind of doing this. News Time would agree. The News Time saying it. Mom was advertised by Ryan and Cork. Continues, but seems very repetitive and useless towards the end of the page. She discusses the DNA tests and it's amazing. She's the nicest woman too. She has diabetes and works at the department store. Still managed to help pay for my apartment in the big city so that I could stay with my high school sweetheart. I got a degree in nursing, so I learned about DNA. Oh, so she got to do. But I'm beginning to think it's all a lie. Mom is 100% confident that there's nobody else who would be my father. Either they did the test wrong, or DNA is complete BS. She's not a liar. Well, okay. There seems to be some evidence. Watts. Danny. Okay, so hold up before we get too far. Watts. Goofy looking at head ass. You're freaking Courtney May. That's an awful name. I'm sorry. You're no longer Kid Newton. You would be. Oh wait, I'm wrong. Watts there. Excuse me, sorry. Newton there. She studied nursing, so I'm gonna assume nurse. Filling in these people is optional. Is it though? Is it? Which then puts your madre. Mamma mia. Which we don't have a picture for. Oh, we might have a picture for. Yep, there we go. Oof. Gruff. Picture is not flattering, my friend. She does have the red hair, though. That actually is a pretty good... Like, it's a decent suggestion. Again, I don't know what this would be. Department store manager. Yeah, I guess we'll go with retail. But your name is oh yeah, yep. What's Beatrice? Okay, I do think that's right. So we gone and done it. You're missing a piece of information there. I get the sense that she is a blood relative, though. Like, I'm gonna say yes, because she's got the red hair. But we're missing a piece of evidence, which is but we need to look up this lawyer firm again. Ruby Spratt. The most complete source of information you can find from before her time with Roottrees is a website owned by a major airline, subject of one article from a recurring series about modern-day success stories. Foster care, but excelled at school and earned a scholarship to study biddies. Took a class, became a lawyer. There are a few high-profile corporate-involved cases where she was part of. One was a legal consultant for a class action lawsuit against manufacturing of steel covers, and there was a local yes. New firm, a double threat. Customer service. Her company services are a cross between traditional lawyer and PR manager. That's not a good thing. It's interesting. I'm missing stuff though. Which, like, how am I missing stuff? If I feel like I've successfully filled in a lot of this, a lot of the stuff, I should say. We should just go off these and see what we can get here. Okay. Yeah, I guess I didn't read this super close. Because I just counted this as supervised by... Wait. Mom didn't want to go show her face because everyone in the media we approached assumed she was lying because her story was just like 5 pieces, but my mom's story was first. Running cork to tell News Time that sing. Who are these people? Oh. Okay. It's an unremarkable law firm. Mostly local cases. Including a scan of DNA test results that proved was not okay. This says there's virtually no chance an Almon's daughter was a Roottrie. It lists the DNA from Jane Doe was tested against Bonnie Kilganee Hudson. Okay. Who represent from a company called Dynakico. Is the DNA in prove that stuff. Method by which they test samples has only become standard in the last decade, as early as 1990s. Responsible for the DNA test that proved that. whenever they take a sample in person, they put the name on the person, the name of the person on the test according to their legal ID. Says that because Guy Hudson is dead, there's no known DNA sources for it. Versus a hair sample sent from the Roottrees. It's listed as Jane Doe because it wasn't collected in person, but the Rootree company let them know it was from Bonnie Kogan. This is why it says it is a paternal aunt test. But that might not be true. Are essentially signatures that perfectly match the two people in question and nobody else. Sorry. The left and right sets of numbers are essentially signatures that perfectly match the DNA of the two people in question, nobody else. The way the tests work is that if certain parts of the signature are shared, very likely the two people are related. Okay. According to the website, famous test proof Felix received his permission to post it. As an example of potential clients, the site says there's a 99% chance a fellow is related to the alleged aunt. This is Jane Doe. As far as you can tell, is a neutral third party and has been used by plenty of respectable companies. And they're matching up on everything. That's actually crazy though, right? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 of them have matchers, though. I'm pretty sure she is, which then begs the question, is he? Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Steve Garland. far back there. Oh, you know what I should do? I should search that, but I should search that in, like, Business Watch. Yeah. A lot of articles with the rise of Chinese companies. Unfortunately, this makes the search result not particularly helpful. New at the time medical industry. It's pretty new. Barely after that, it seemed like the industry began to grow. Appearing at the time CEO Wang Tai, Wang Kongbo, and his young daughter Xiao Xingyao, I don't know. And her husband could not have a child, so in an attempt to create a suitable heir, paid Quinnes to have their child implant her older daughter. She was unmarried. Right. Mentioned. The government found China by a partnership involving medical specialists who then built their medicals. Was sometimes claimed that they performed IVF when they did not. This would, often be used as an excuse for an otherwise unexplainable pregnancy. They'd fly their plane to America, where they would stay for an extended period of time, then return to China with news of a successful IVF. Apparently presented at the Department of Health Services was credible evidence. Copies of the proof are leaked. Imagine a world in which the company would be allowed to continue operating without facing. Oh, okay. So she's probably almost certainly a what do you call it? A Roottrees. Because, like, the company they use just straight up lies. So she's probably is. Already over time and I really need to get to bed, but, like, I feel like this is the last little bit and I really want to just, like, close out the game. Not because it's bad, but because, like, it's right there and I want to just finish. But then we have up here, which is crazy to me. I feel like this is definitely a no, right? Because, like, if I'm certain this one is a yes, then this has to be a no. Which feels weird. Which then leaves of the new stuff this group in him. Which I'm missing something there. And I'm not sure what. Oh, you know what? Let's do that same. Let's do the same trick right now, and we'll do. It says she shortened her name, right? Well, let's do this. Go to periodicals. Many forms under the umbrella. Swatch named a few times. Relevant appearance seemed to be an article about the struggles of American media companies to do business with their foreign counterparts, the difference in laws, if you included those in Africa and the Middle East. So, due to a lack of freedom of speech laws in Brazil, they've added bureaucracy in publishing certain stories. Nina is extremely private about her identity and supposedly once used her connections to have a reporter fired from a rival news network and blacklisted. Journalists claimed that this was a way to shut down a story he was doing about her personal life, including that her marriage in 1973 was not of her own choice. Research claimed that she was essentially had her husband forced upon. Ooh, okay. We're not outlawed. Okay. Past appearance of her husband have been for show. They do not live together, and that she resents her own parents for the arrangement. The final claim is that she must have made her money under the table through nefarious, possibly illegal means during his dictatorship, and his research uncovered that she could not possibly have earned enough to start a media company. In the statement, the reporter went into hiding in fear for his safety. Is there an expenditure that's... Flavor development. Ball. Christmas. Hey. It's a double... It's caviar and caviar. Okay, but all of these have been mentioned a couple of times. Oh, because they're different years. Why is this in here? Or rather specifically, why is it tied directly to... Five-piece flavor developments. I don't see how that's relevant, though. Sort of get this, and I understand what they're saying. 1980. Her as unmarried, but like we know she wasn't unmarried because she married this guy. Wait. Snape inheritance in the time. Form 1988. Spotlight. Then you can go to shareholder meetings. Oh, headphones are dying. Oh, come here you go. But like, these records start right as Hudson takes over. These all seem pretty standard. But if she would, I think it's trying to imply that if she's resentful for this hookup, not 5Ps, not China, Susie. Local politician, 1960. 1970. Has a mother named Sonia. Right, but if he's still relevant in today and flaunting with, because he's a young newscaster, so he's probably in, okay, he's 18, which puts his birth in 81. Oh, but the other bit of information we found mentions that they don't even spend a lot of time with each other. Past appearances with her husband have been for show, and they do not live together. In other words, how did she conceive a child? Yeah, so he's probably is. Yes to you. It's these two, and they have, again, what I feel like is an important the same thing. How much older are they, though? Like, how close together? Because one is younger and one is older. Three years, okay. So 3 years is definitely room. This is going to be one of those super annoying ones, and that's tricky. Because, like, I have no idea. Times. What is Kitchen Tales? I don't think I ever searched that. Oh, apparently I didn't. Story-based cookbook. Oh, I guess I never. Book released before the internet was widespread, so much it's a rare. One book collector states that the publisher was unprepared for the demand. There's no second printing, which is unusual to find a copy in a while. Do you find an alternative medicine website which focuses on cooking with natural ingredients? Mentions that one of the Kitchen Tales recipes used salt water. The other site has included a scan of the recipe, which was added to your evidence. She says if you switch out salt water in the recipe for a mix of 2/3 spring water and 1/3 filter seawater, it tastes great. But what's the story on it? By its recipes and stories, it had mild popularity, seemed to disappear from online marketing in 1992. By a scan, for 4 years, two bakers, Flora and Yates, flirted. They grew their friendship, compared recipes, and combined knowledge. She loved his salt and pepper bread. He adored her rosemary cheeks. Lewd. They thought sweetly about one another, but he was one day whisked away, conscripted to bake the army's bread. By the oil of the lamp, tears began to salt his bread. The recipe asked the reader to combine that and that, combine that and that. It was 10 to 12 years later that they met again, seemingly by fate. Doe had earned her position as the king's personal baker, and success as well. He baked for the kingdom's 45 diplomats. One day they returned from the Dutch Isles with a gift of 450 unbaked loaves and went to the palace bakery to teach a method that required no kneading. Proof for 10 to 12 hours and spread it out and let it sit for 45 minutes. Sure. Seeing Yates, delighted and distraught, she felt as if she was torn in two. She had not been made aware of the gift and had already prepared buns for the palace's oven. Huh. She wished to greet warmly, but she was struck by fears that he'd be unable to bake with her. That she'd face retribution for being unprepared. She cried to Yates, salted the dough, seized her pain. He insisted that she had no obligation to prepare for a return she thought was impossible. Okay, so that's not cheating, but okay. Wait. They twist and tangle their dough. Ew. So that means the older one is definitely a Rootree, but the younger one is not. So James is yes, because he was the one that was already prepared, but you were not a Rootree. Okay. Check. Okay, check. Lots of Rootrees. I think some shenanigans were happening there. But then this crazy thing is like up here. Yeah, like we have nothing. And we have to go back? Like that what? Okay. Can I access my old thing here? Ronald Rootree. Searching your name, give me anything. No. Man, I don't even remember what to do here. Well, she was famous, right? So I could search Gwen Rootree. Okay, I guess we go to... Because I remember her stuff being in Starlit, right? Wild Bill Williams, sure. Like, this is really just going to be a question of... Okay, but this wasn't updated. Is the spider search for him updated? Oh, it is, okay. Wait, then why didn't Rootree? Anyway. An actor known for his role did not make an appearance. I just want to copy this. Because of his absence, there was rumor online that he must have already died, but according to a reporter that tracked him down, he's in his 70s, still lives in Paris, still perfectly in fine health. He even went on record. I think it was Mark Twain who said, "The rumors of my death have been greatly exaggerated." It's appropriate today. The few years I spent with Gwen were just one stop along the very long and complicated journey that has been my life and career. The last time we spoke was when I signed the divorce papers. She asked me never to contact her or the kids again. I've always respected those wishes. They never reached out to me either, even as adults, so I had assumed they had some idea of why she hated me so much, sacrifices she made on my behalf. I wish them well, and I'm sorry for the loss, but we've been strangers for 40 years, so I can confidently say that we wouldn't have wanted me there. In fact, I'm confident my presence would have earned it. That's actually very, fairly well reasoned. Okay, why is this coming up now? Gwen Rootree is somewhat a well-known actress. Guys like that. She died in Paris, France, 3 weeks ago. Okay. Hollywood. She made no efforts to stay in the limelight. much is known about her death except that it was announced that she died peacefully in her sleep while being treated for a sudden and severe case of pneumonia. For that, she apparently had been in relatively good health, according to her. She died at 67. Interesting. Okay. Robert. I don't remember him going by Robert, though. This guy's like us, right? Two secretaries cut their hair short and pose as businessmen to get ahead in life until one of them falls in love with the client, starring those people. It's fairly popular. Box office made somewhat formulaic. I have to remember these names. It was recently released for the first time due to Roottrees Mania. This, I guess meant to miss which one last few weeks. Talks of a remake. Okay. Discussed a few times through website Movie News. The logo is a cow. Yep. Cameron Diaz. Sure. It's been on indefinite hiatus due to the director, who is speculated to be Ron Roottrees, dropped out in the wake of a serious medical issue. Oh, okay. Interesting. Back up. Wait, no, forward. Let's try to search Ron Roottrees. There we go. There it is. Oh, right, because he was, Ron Roottrees was announced to be the president of the Roottrees Riff, but the next press release immediately reversed the announcement and instead stated that Ron and Clark would take over a few weeks later. Ron was dropped from the title entirely. There are hundreds of results about this development, but most articles are retelling the basic details. Some veer into heavy speculation based on the article about Ron and Business Watch. Ooh, okay. Ron also has done an interview saying that the truth of what went on behind the scenes is not something he wishes to discuss, and said he hopes to release a movie about it someday. 3 weeks ago, Ron's mother died in Paris, and he and his brother Robbie have seemingly made amends. Periodicals, Business Watch, Tree Rift mentions that nobody from Roottrees reached out to us. Was willing to go on record instead of timeline events. Source on the inside. The only part that's new to you is that the most vague or almost the most vague parts, the one supposedly confirming by their anonymous sources, says that the family actually held a preliminary vote after Carl Roottrees died, but before the release of the 6 pieces, and decided they wanted Ron Roottrees to take over the experience running RR Productions. Okay. It's just the remake. Okay. Jeez. I feel like she was an actor or something. Penelope Tessa. Oh. Recent fundraiser, the Laugh Lounge, about a month ago. The fundraiser was for the best medicine cure for Huntington's disease. So recently I didn't know anything about Huntington's in the last few months. Oh, okay, so he's sick. Or he was sick. Until less than a decade ago, it was impossible to predict someone that's due to advances in medical tests, and hopefully they increase the awareness of Huntington's disease. Neurodegenerative disease that most recognizably causes memory issues and uncontrollable movements in the limbs. After symptom onset, somewhere between ages 30 and 50, typically live another 15 to 18 years, as there's no cure. Huntington's is passed genetically from parent to child. Genes in such a way that if a parent has the disease, there's a 50% chance that their child will get it. Huntington's cannot be passed on recessively, meaning it cannot skip a generation. In other words, if someone has a mother or father with Huntington's, but they themselves do not receive it from that parent, their child and their grandchildren, or so on, will never have it. Till the 1990s, it was impossible to test for Huntington's. Instead, symptoms would usually appear later in life. There would often be a person infected but already had children. It would then be impossible to know if the children had it because it would be a 50-50 shot. In 1993, due to determining it became possible to test children for it and know if the disease was passed on or not. For various complex reasons, however, children are considered unable to consent to such a test and therefore are rarely tested without showing early signs. Okay. It's because his name wasn't Robert, right? It was something else. Yeah, Robbie? Roottrees? No. What was it? Oh. Robbie Roottrees? Oh, there it was. French prison after serving a few years for assault, his embezzlement, and arrest was particularly 6 pieces. Key piece of evidence in Sam's favor, and has since become much more publicly infamous. He had not yet returned to the United States, but when journalists reached out to him about the death of his mother, he issued a blatant statement: "The death of my mother was harming our family. My brother and I, after spending time together taking care of her in mourning, have finally made amends. It was a highly transformative few weeks. When it came to our relationship, I'm in recovery from my addiction, and major aspects of that process I wish to remain private." Oh, this is archive evidence, okay. But there's new evidence in 6 pieces. Where did it talk about Robbie? Guy shenanigans. Gwyneth was able to coerce. It doesn't talk about Robbie in the 6 pieces, I don't think. Okay. Okay, there's one bit left that I don't know. Guess we'll just start searching names. Nothing. Nothing. Nada. This is old and I don't think he was relevant last time. Oh. Supporting roles for performance and guys like us generally. So she got like billing, even though this is claim. She retired from Hollywood almost immediately after her co-starring role. Not much was known about her until recently. But recently, as part of the myriad of articles and research people have done into this, came out that she died of a genetic disease known as Huntington's in the late 1960s. What? Oh. But I thought they were twins. Are they not twins? I feel like I don't. What? Whoop. That's probably musician artist. When is Gwen? But at least she came out of the divorce with her held high. Told us she might even come next year so we can meet her kids. The other guy was like womanizer and kind of jumped around a lot. And, well, yeah, he mentioned that she made sacrifices. Okay, and Huntington would imply that he's not a Rootree. Because she died of pneumonia, supposedly. So, I think you are, and I don't think you are. No. That's marked, that's marked, that's marked, that's marked. Everything's filled in there. Okay. Feeling pretty good. Finish Roottrees menu. But first, here's the final optional entries you've made. You did it! Family tree complete! So, supposedly I filled in everything correctly.
Beatrice and Courtney May. Clark, can you swing another test against Bonnie's DNA?
This time I'll be sure to have them verify both samples in person.
1 week later. Aye.
Using the family tree you filled out, as well as DNA tests, we were able to uncover the truth behind all the inconsistencies. Clark's handling the business, but I've come to thank you and fill you in on everything we've learned. Buckle up, because it's been one heck of a week. Actually, that's an understatement. It's not every week you discover your family company is being sabotaged by someone they trusted.
Neat.
But that's the kind of time we've been having. Like I said, buckle up. Maybe grab some popcorn. We'll start with Guy Hudson. Guy had a frankly ridiculous number of potential children. What shocked me is how many graduated from potential to confirmed. We can even prove he was aware of them. The smoking gun was how he used company money to pay off a lot of women.
Oh, the names of the flavors were... That's stupid.
He hit it with a method inspired by his idol, Elias. 5-piece flavors.
Yeah.
The flavors he was paying to research were a ruse.
Okay.
He developed flavors based on the initials of the women he was paying.
Oh, I
Which
did
was
not put
really
that together.
stupid,
That's smart.
considering one of their names started with X.
Okay, well, you just called me stupid. That's rude. I did not put that together.
Let's start with Christine. Guy was paying her under the name Caviar, but there were some other clues. James was born 9 months after Zach's party.
Oh, okay.
Christine was there with Guy, and when she got pregnant, she panicked. Steve stepped up. He even turned it into one of his recipe stories.
Yep.
Not
Oh my
all of
God.
Guy's affairs led to offspring. He may have slept with Robin Martin, but she didn't have children, so we'll never know.
I knew that one, yeah.
Also, not every child of Guy's affair partners were his. Robert Garland was born after his parents had already moved to
Yes.
Boston.
I got that one. Hey.
Skipping Beatrice for now. Up next is Lang Xin Yu. When Guy showed up in China, she was into America. And Americans. Dare I say redheads, even? When she got pregnant, her father paid key genes to fake IVF.
Okay.
But her sister and Jerry had their own son, Mark.
Cool.
Sonia Alves was soon after. Nia was married at a very young age to a much older husband.
Yeah.
She resented him. I don't blame her. They allegedly spent no time together in private.
Okay, so that
Guy
does
was in
track.
Brazil during Christmas 1979. It's the only Christmas not in the records.
Oh. Okay.
Flavio was born 9 months later, and like the others, Guy started paying Sonia.
Neat.
Last was Susan Ford, hired to translate for Guy's overseas trips. It's easy to read into Guy's donation to her school, but there's no definitive proof there. She and Guy were witnessed together near the end of his life. Susan's husband was convinced he couldn't be the father of her daughters. Guy, though, paid double. The price of twins.
Oh, okay. So that's how you confirm that. My thing was they weren't death, which I guess it wasn't technically.
So, what about 5 Ps? Felix Fellow's mother, Joanna, doesn't have a 5 pieces flavor. On top of that, his story doesn't really add up.
Yeah, because it's exactly the same as the other person.
His mother already left the company by the time Guy became president, and his lyrics indicate he was born sometime around 1975. Alone, that wouldn't necessarily prove it. But there are some suspicious connections between Felix and the company's current lawyer, Ruby Spratt. They both grew up in Portland, in foster care, and according to the local paper, they definitely knew one another.
Oh, I did not catch that at all. I just went on the fact that, like, if her thing...
Ruby was the one who approached the Roottrees to begin with. It was all a setup. Ruby and Felix saw my book's challenge to the Clancet Trust as an opportunity. His mother really had worked for Roottree, and Ruby was a respected lawyer. She exploited my family's greed, worked her way into control of the trust, and ensured Felix got a piece. But if you look at the 2 DNA tests that Ruby handled, they were both supposedly tested against Bonnie Hudson.
Oh yeah, they were different numbers. Like, completely different numbers.
But the 2 signatures that should both represent Bonnie don't match. After Clark and I confronted her, Ruby lawyered up. We suspect Ruby had Donatico test Felix against his own mother's DNA. He had a hairbrush of hers. They sent the female sample in remotely. On the second test, Bonnie's sample was tested locally, but Courtney May's was not. Ruby's been throwing away samples. We think she sent her own hair instead of Courtney May's, but it could have been anyone. Ruby and Felix were in cahoots.
So I was wrong about that.
As for why, they were both advocates of wealth
It's weird that I got,
redistribution. A noble effort, but once they controlled the family fortune, they became just as greedy as the worst members of my family. The money corrupted them. They were so eager to personally wield the wealth for their own cause that they sabotaged any other claims.
Yep.
That finally brings us to Anonymom, aka Beatrice Watts. Her tales of Guy's parties and payoffs were true. She even approached Ruby before 5Ps was on news time. Ruby used Beatrice's truths to make Felix's lies feel real, then ruined the DNA test so that Beatrice looked phony in the public court of opinion. I feel worst for her in all of this. While Ruby and Felix stole the show, there were some other potential new family members as well. Miracle Roottrie was less of an open and shut case. That said, it's very likely he had a son with Mary Beth Clementine.
Yep.
Not Stuart. Mary Beth adopted him before she ever set foot in Butler County. That leaves Mark. The timeline fits.
Sudden basket.
He showed up about 9 months after Mary Beth visited Miracle. And the basket baby story is a bit... If that's not enough on its own...
Oh yeah, because that does go straight.
He was
back
also
to,
bailed
yeah.
out by the sister of Edith Roottrie, Miracle Jr.'s wife, after she changed her name to win that silly contest.
I saw that and I did not put
Our
that
best
together. I thought it
guess
was
is
just a
that Mark
red
was
herring, not a
told by
lie.
his mother whose son he was,
Which is dumb.
and
Should've
used
picked
that
up,
fact
but-
to put some pressure on Miracle Jr. We have no real proof of that, but nothing else really makes sense for why they'd be connected in that way. Elias's affair was the most ambiguous.
Yeah.
Gwyneth was able to coerce Elias
to
to do
happen when
things
it's,
he
like,
wouldn't
100
have
years
otherwise
old.
done, like pressure to include me in the family. My son even mentioned them arguing about someone named Beth. Combined with Gwyneth's lisp, it's possible the name was actually Bess. Unfortunately, all we know about Bess Williams is that she wrote his book and died not long after, leaving her. The timeline fits with Wildcat, but there's no record if she had any other relationship. Honestly, I wouldn't say we had enough evidence either. I wouldn't be surprised if Elias cheated. Of course, I'm a bit biased. Regardless, we haven't gotten in touch with any of the Williams clan yet. That means we haven't been able to do a DNA test. As Clark mentioned, from here on out. Lastly, we have a bit of a curveball. Ron Roottree isn't related to us by blood. Gwyn was definitely pregnant, so it's likely Robbie is. When Ron and Robbie went to visit their mother at the end of her life, Additionally, there have been a few rumors circling around Ron. RR Productions canceled the Guys Like Us remake due to the director's illness.
Yes. And it's
At the same
Huntington's.
time, Ron's wife Penelope began doing benefits for Huntington's disease, stating that she had become familiar with it. Huntington's is the same disease that Gwyn's former co-star Leslie Florence had. It's passed because Gwyn and Wild Bill didn't have Huntington's, and Ron seems to. It's impossible Gwyn was his mother. I recently confirmed all this with Ron. At the end of her life, Gwyn told Ron the story. Leslie and Bill had an affair the same year Leslie learned she had Huntington's. Leslie got pregnant. Leslie wasn't likely to survive to see her child grow up. And even if she did, she didn't want to be a burden.
Oh,
She
okay.
begged Gwyn and Wild Bill to adopt her child. Gwyn did. Mere weeks after she found out she was having her own son, she also took in Ron. Wild Bill was a problem. Unreliable and a serial adulterer.
Super weird though. Like the
Gwyn divorced him and never saw him again. Gwyn had already told Starlet she was pregnant, so it never really made waves when people saw her with a child in Paris. There was gossip during her divorce when she was discovered to be pregnant again. In actuality, it was the final months of her only pregnancy. To lay low, she
Guess I
stayed
never
in
put that
Paris
together.
long enough that even her own family never had reason
It's
to
clever,
question the timeline. It's one heck of a story, and frankly, nobody could be expected to piece the timeline together. Not with what few mentions of Gwyn's past have survived. But the Huntingtons itself? That's proof.
Next.
Ron suing Robbie to remove him from the Clancid Trust was a huge moment in my story, and a major catalyst for this entire investigation. Finding out that it's been pretty much backwards this whole time has been a bit
It's
surreal.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at. Looking over the information you sent us was invaluable. You got everything absolutely correct. Why did we even bother hiring a team? You figured it all out solo.
By luck, apparently, because I did not catch a lot of that.
All this information, this entire story.
Made different deductions,
lot.
but like those deductions
In
were based
more
on
ways
wrong
than
stuff.
one.
So
Some of it has the potential to destroy marriages and ruin relationships. We're handling it all very, very carefully, but we couldn't have gotten here without you. And with that, I guess our tale has finally, truly come to an end. What a strange one it was. No words can express how grateful I am to you for untangling this mess. Honestly, I've had enough of my family's eccentricities and scandals for one lifetime. I imagine you have as well. And if not, well, there's always Elias's and Gwyneth's brothers and sisters.
Attention, Roottrees.
Alright, well, that I think actually is the Roottrees are dead. I think that might be the whole game, because I don't actually think we're gonna... I'm assuming there's not more? I might be wrong.
Man, y'all are hypocrites. Sitting back in your massive estates, built from the cash that your ancestors gave you, acting like you
So,
somehow deserve it. Based on your
we'll just let this the credits roll. It's a fun deduction game. Again, I don't think I caught everything on the end there. I definitely didn't catch everything on the end there, so that was interesting and surprising. It's also weird that the deductions I made ended up getting everything right too. But 50-50 chance in most cases. So yeah, all put together, like, it's a pretty good game, pretty interesting. I like the concept of like having to search through pre-2000s like internet to try to find stuff. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Fortunately, it's a puzzle game, so at this point I can't really recommend that you go play it if you watched everything. But if you want to just buy the game and support the developer, then absolutely do that. I do think the twist at the end was a lot better than the twist in the first half. So yeah. I'm assuming this is 5P's information or record, I guess. Detailed press for each song. Huh. Given that this is a game, I hope it's all unique music. Otherwise, I'm gonna be really upset when I go to upload this to YouTube. But I can always just mute the VOD, so that's fine. Hey, there we go. That's the original. Interesting. Yeah, I saw that like there's two different listings of this. There's the Roottrees are dead and like a different version of it, so I didn't know that. I guess there's like a free version floating around somewhere. Beautiful tagline in all works of fiction. Like, hey, if you think you look like this person, that's not our problem.
Whoever caused dollars, the root of all evil, just trying to make small pursuits of real people. You silver spoon thieves, you're the world's purest treatment, while real world folks burning spoons for the needle. Whoever caused dollars, the root of all evil, just trying to make small pursuits of real people. You silver spoon thieves, you're the world's purest treatment, while real world folks burning spoons for the needle.
Right. Game? Okay, there we go, I guess. Alright, so yeah, once again, this was the Roottrees are dead, including Rootree Mania. Super fun. Gets a recommendation from me. I don't think it's on par with, games like The Obra Dinn. Honestly, that's hard to do because The Obra Dinn is a well-crafted game. This game is still wonderful, so it gets a recommendation from me. Granted, again, if you've been watching up until this point, probably not a whole lot of value in that for you because it's a puzzle game. But yeah, if you are watching over on the YouTube side, I really do appreciate you hanging on, going along the series and watching it. If you're on the Twitch side, thank you for hanging out tonight as we went a little longer than normal to close out this game. I really thought this was going to take 30 minutes and turned into like an hour and 30 minutes. So I'm sure my girlfriend wants to stab me. So, with that, I'm going to get out of here. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on the video if you enjoyed it. Until next time, have a good one. And on the Twitch side, I'm getting out of here. So, I hope you guys have a wonderful start to your week. And until Wednesday, I hope you also have a good one.